So as of September 2020, 2022, USAGM's, that's a long, what's the short word for that?
There is none.
There is none? Oh, okay. I'm sorry for the reporter out there. The USAGM's affiliate, Radio Free Europe, was running radio shows with educational content for girls in Afghanistan, and apparently the shows were able to provide 14 hours a week of curriculum. I don't know if that's true, but that's what we heard. And now, I guess the Taliban has shut down the radio transmissions. So is there going to be any ability to for you all to get the news into Afghanistan?
Thank you. And yes, that's incredibly important. And that content in particular, providing educational opportunities via the radio to women and girls after the Taliban prevented them from getting a higher education, is very, very important. And in advance, as we were anticipating that this was going to be happening inside Afghanistan, USAGM did take proactive measures. For example, start launching free-to-home satellite transmission, and also we were able to very quickly stand up 3 medium-wave transmitters in neighboring countries that are able to broadcast in, and also we are still able to broadcast on private radio networks. So while we are not able to do the same level of transmission we were doing before, we are reaching into Afghanistan at about 12 hours per day, and that includes the content that you're talking about addressed to women and girls.
Do you know what your reach is in terms of numbers?
We don't right now, and because we spend heavily on sampling, it's hard to sample inside these countries where it's dangerous to do so.
So, next topic, but thank you for that answer. A new study found that, Mr. Chair, you can always count on me to bring up a new subject. A new study found that gendered disinformation can become a national security threat when foreign actors use it to exploit divisions in society. And the study found that actors, especially Russian state-backed sources, are spreading more disinformation about women than men. And among the women, marginalized women are targeted more viciously by disinformation attacks. And digital platforms have failed at protecting women against this disinformation. I should also say women leaders, political leaders, have been under attack and under threat. Can you tell me the USAGM's role in fighting against disinformation, especially against women?
Yes, absolutely, and it is very much in our minds that this is an issue of the fact that disinformation is very much gendered. People are aware of that. We try and make sure that our coverage reflects that, and in addition, that as I mentioned before, that our own journalists and broadcasters, women, appear in our news, appear and are used in our news so that people can see and hear the faces and voices of women providing this news. And what's more, what you mentioned as to the gendered misinformation, there is also quite dramatic gendered issues with the digital harassment of women. And so giving women the ability to protect themselves and to deal with this is something that we are now doing as part of our safety strategy.
So could you just give me an example of what you're doing? I say you're doing it, but what are you doing?
Well, for example, in the digital safety, the training and of journalists, particularly at Radio Free Asia. Radio Free Asia is finding that is a particular problem for them. So the digital training and how to respond to digital harassment when it becomes dangerous, how you respond to the attacks to you. All of those things are things that we are doing right now actively.
I think I'm running out of time, but what about to just lay people or to politicians? Anything going out to them?
Yes, there is, but you know what, to find specific broadcast examples of it, I would be very happy to go back and retrieve some of them to make sure that you get them.
Okay, thank you so much. I yield back. I think all of us here are very concerned about the rise of anti-Semitism around the world, in our own country too. So I wanted sort of a two-part question, sort of to get your sense in terms of broadcast. I'm not worried about your broadcasting, but other broadcasting, especially coming out of the Middle East. What's your sense of what's going on? I know that some of the biggest media agencies are, I don't know if I can pronounce them right, but Qatar's Al Jazeera, Saudi Arabia's Al Arabia, and UAE's Sky News Arabia. Do you find any anti-Semitism or anti-Israel sentiment in that broadcasting or other broadcasts in the world?
So I'm afraid that I am not personally an expert in those broadcasts, although I know that that area is very much dominated by state-sponsored media organizations, and I do know that the Middle East Broadcast Networks is very concerned about making sure that things like anti-Semitism, anti-women, anti-gay issues are all covered appropriately so that the information that gets into those countries is, as we say, not pushing back, but offering alternative narratives. So while I can't tell you about the nature of the broadcasts by the foreign broadcasters, I can tell you that the Middle East Broadcast Networks, which is part of our organization, is very aware of the need to broadcast appropriate and socially conscious broadcasting.
So does anyone have the responsibility of monitoring or getting a sense of what is going on with these other broadcasters?
Oh, absolutely. And again, I apologize. This has got to do with my newness at the organization
Okay.
and my trying to learn what's going on. But yes, the Middle East Broadcast Networks has a very professional staff over there that is very aware of what's going on and monitors them, tracks them quite substantially.
Okay, I just know I'm not making any disrespect. I was to the Middle East broadcasters, but I'm just curious whether there was a sense of if there's any disinformation or anti-Semitism in any of the broadcasters anywhere in the world. But that's not in your bailiwick, you're saying, or you.
I think you were specifically talking about the Middle
mention
East,
that.
and that is the area right now, since I'm pretty new here, that I'm the least familiar with. Although
What about any other areas of the world?
Again, I'm aware that this is going on, but for me to specifically say a particular piece of broadcasting, I can't do that right now. But I would be happy to go back and look at it for you and
That
make
would
sure
be
you
great.
understand.
Or if you maybe have somebody who's tracking that.
Yeah, I would be happy
Okay.
to do so.
All right, thank you very much. And Mr. Chair, I yield back.